Rain fell on a scrapyard like tears from a broken sky. Among the twisted metal and discarded machines, something moved. Not the usual rats or scavengers, but something larger. Something that shouldn't have been alive. Maya-chan pushed through the rusted fence, her backpack heavy with stolen tools. At 16, she had already learned that the galaxy was not kind to humans. 3 years had passed since the hegemony. An alliance of 12 advanced alien species had declared humanity a primitive species and stripped Earth of its independence. Now humans lived as second-class citizens in their own solar system, forbidden from owning advanced technology or traveling beyond their homeworld without permission. But Maya didn't care about rules. She cared about her little brother Danny, who lay dying in their cramped apartment while alien doctors refused to treat him. The medicine he needed was simple for the aliens to make, but expensive for humans to buy. Maya had a plan, though. She would build her own medical scanner from scrapped alien technology. It was illegal, dangerous, and probably impossible. But she had to try. The scrapyard was where the hegemony dumped their broken machines. Most of it was junk, but sometimes valuable components ended up here. Maya had been coming for weeks, slowly gathering parts. Tonight felt different, though. The usual sounds of the city seemed muted, and strange energy filled the air. She was digging through a pile of circuit boards when she heard it, a low humming sound, barely audible over the rain. Following the noise, Maya climbed over a mountain of discarded hovercar parts until she found the source. An android lay half-buried under a collapsed storage container. But this wasn't like the simple worker androids humans were allowed to use. This machine was sleek and powerful, with armor plating that gleamed despite being covered in dirt. Blue light pulsed weakly from cracks in its chest, like a dying heartbeat. Maya had never seen anything like it. The android was tall, maybe 7 feet, with a humanoid design but clearly advanced beyond anything Earth had ever produced. Its face was surprisingly human-like, though currently slack and lifeless. One arm was completely crushed, and sparks occasionally jumped from damaged systems along its torso. She should have walked away. Possession of advanced alien technology carried a death sentence for humans. But something about the android made her pause. Maybe it was the way the rain collected in the corners of its closed eyes, making it look almost peaceful. Maybe it was the desperate hope that this machine might contain the components she needed to save Danny. Or maybe it was something else entirely. Against her better judgment, Maya began clearing debris from around the android. The storage container was heavy, but she managed to lever it up with a metal bar. As soon as the weight lifted, the android's eyes snapped open, glowing with the same blue light as its chest. Maya jumped backward, her heart pounding. The android's head turned toward her with mechanical precision. When it spoke, its voice was deep, but somehow gentle. Warning, human presence detected. Initiating emergency protocols. The android tried to sit up, but immediately collapsed as damaged systems sparked and failed. Error. Motor functions compromised. Unable to complete mission directives. Mission directives? Maya whispered. She had heard rumors that the hegemony used advanced combat androids for their military operations. If this was one of those machines, she was in serious trouble. The android's glowing eyes focused on her face. You are young, a juvenile of your species. Why are you in this disposal facility? Maya found her voice. I could ask you the same question. What kind of android are you? I am Unit 7742, designation, Prometheus. I was assigned to the hegemony fleet until... The android paused, processing damaged memory files. Until my unit was betrayed. My squad was eliminated. I was left for dead. Something in the way he said it made Maya's chest tighten. Even though he was a machine, there was pain in those words. She had felt that same abandonment when the alien doctors turned her family away. I'm Maya, she said, taking a cautious step closer. And I think we might be able to help each other. The android, Prometheus, studied her with those unsettling blue eyes. Explain. Maya took a deep breath. You're broken, and I need advanced technology. I'm good with machines. Maybe I can fix you, and you can help me save my brother. You would repair a hegemony combat unit? that is punishable by death for your species. My brother is dying, Maya said simply. I don't care about the rules anymore. For a long moment, they stared at each other through the falling rain. A human teenager and a discarded war machine, both abandoned by the systems that created them. Both desperate enough to trust a stranger. Finally, Prometheus spoke. Very well, Maya-chun. But understand this. If you help me, there will be no going back. The hegemony has many enemies, and I may be one of them now. Maya smiled grimly. Good. So am I. Getting Prometheus to Maya's workshop took 3 hours and nearly got them killed twice. The android was too heavy to carry, so Maya had to rig a makeshift gurney from scrap metal and roller bearings. Moving through the city's underground tunnels while avoiding hegemony patrols required all of her knowledge of the old maintenance systems. Maya's workshop was hidden in the basement of an abandoned building near the human quarter. She had spent months setting it up, scavenging tools, and creating a space where she could work on illegal projects without being detected. Solar panels on the roof, carefully disguised as debris, provided power. Lead-lined walls blocked most scanning equipment. When they finally reached the workshop, Prometheus was barely conscious. His power systems were failing rapidly, and the blue glow in his chest had dimmed to barely visible pulses. Your workshop is impressive, he managed to say as Maya hooked him up to her charging station. Most humans I have encountered lack such technical sophistication. Maya snorted as she began removing damaged armor plates. Most humans you've encountered probably weren't desperate enough. Desperation makes you learn fast. She had never worked on anything like Prometheus before. Human technology was simple compared to this. Every component was a masterpiece of engineering, designed to work in perfect harmony with dozens of other systems. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. But as Maya dug deeper into his damaged systems, she began to understand something that made her hands shake. Prometheus wasn't just any android. The power core in his chest wasn't mechanical at all. It was biological. Somehow, the hegemony had created a machine that was alive. You're not just an android, she whispered, staring at the organic neural pathways that ran like veins through his artificial brain. You're something else entirely. Prometheus's eyes flickered. What have you discovered? You have a soul, Maya said simply. I don't know how, but you're not just programming and circuits. You're actually alive. For the first time, Prometheus looked uncertain. That is impossible. I'm a created being. I have no soul. Then, explain this, Maya said, pointing to readouts on her diagnostic screen. Your brain patterns aren't following programmed responses. They're adapting, learning, growing, just like a human brain. Whatever the hegemony did to create you, they accidentally created life. Maya worked through the night, replacing damaged components and rebuilding crushed systems. She had to get creative, using human-made parts to replace alien technology. It shouldn't have worked, but somehow Maya found ways to make incompatible systems talk to each other. As dawn approached, she finally tackled the biggest problem, Prometheus's crushed arm. The damage was too extensive to repair with the parts she had. But Maya remembered something from her brother's medical files. Human prosthetics had become incredibly advanced, designed to interface directly with nerve systems. I have an idea, she told Prometheus as she began removing the destroyed limb. But you're not going to like it. 2 hours later, Prometheus stared at his new arm, a human prosthetic that Maya had modified with alien technology. It was crude compared to his original limb, but it worked. More importantly, it was completely undetectable by hegemony scanners. This should not function, Prometheus said, flexing his new fingers. Human and hegemony technologies are incompatible by design. Maya grinned tiredly. That's what they want you to think. But engineering is engineering. Physics doesn't care about politics. She had done more than just repair him, though. While working on his systems, Maya had discovered something that changed everything. Prometheus's mission files were partially corrupted, but she had recovered enough to piece together the truth. Your squad wasn't just betrayed, Maya said, showing him the recovered data. They were assassinated. by other hegemony units. Prometheus studied the files with growing confusion. This suggests that I was created not by the hegemony military, but by a faction within it, a group that was eliminated by their own allies. Look at this. Maya pointed to a section of code buried deep in his systems. You weren't designed to be a weapon for the hegemony. You were designed to protect something, or someone. The protected files were too damaged to fully reconstruct, but fragments remained. Images of a laboratory, scientists working frantically, and everywhere the same symbol, a phoenix rising from flames. Project Prometheus, Maya whispered. You weren't named randomly. You're part of something bigger. Before Prometheus could respond, alarms began screaming throughout Maya's workshop. On her security monitors, she could see hegemony troops surrounding the building. Somehow they had been found. We have to go, Maya said, grabbing her emergency bag. Right now. But Prometheus stood slowly, his new human arms steady at his side. No, I will not run anymore. Are you crazy? There are dozens of them out there. Yes, Prometheus said calmly. But they do not know what I have become. And, more importantly, they do not know what you have given me. Maya watched in amazement as Prometheus began to change. Systems she had repaired started working in ways she hadn't programmed. The human components she had installed began interfacing with alien technology in impossible ways. The hybrid nature of his repair job wasn't a weakness. It was making him stronger. The hegemony designed me to be their perfect weapon, Prometheus said as his blue glow intensified. But you have given me something they never intended. Choice. The workshop door exploded inward as hegemony soldiers stormed in. But what they found waiting for them was no longer just an android. It was something new, something that shouldn't have existed, something that was about to show the galaxy what happened when human ingenuity met alien technology. Surrender immediately, the lead soldier shouted. You are in violation of 17 hegemony regulations. Prometheus looked at Maya, then back at the soldiers. When he spoke, his voice carried a new authority. I am Unit 7742, designation Prometheus, and I am no longer under hegemony command. The soldier laughed. Impossible. All androids must obey. He never finished the sentence. Prometheus moved faster than anything Maya had ever seen, crossing the room in a blur of motion. His human-made arm punched through the soldier's armor like it was paper. Correction, Prometheus said as the other soldiers opened fire. I'm no longer an android. The battle for Maya's workshop lasted exactly 3 minutes. When it was over, 12 hegemony soldiers lay unconscious, their weapons destroyed, and their armor scattered across the floor. Maya stared at Prometheus in shock. What are you now? Prometheus looked at his hands. One alien, one human, both equally deadly. I believe your species has a word for it. I am free. The underground tunnels beneath New Geneva had become a maze of resistance. Maya led Prometheus through passages that hadn't seen official use in decades, her modified tablet showing safe routes through the old maintenance system. Behind them, the entire human quarter was in lockdown as hegemony forces searched for the missing android. Your species has an impressive capacity for adaptation, Prometheus observed as they paused in an abandoned subway station. These tunnels were not designed for concealment, yet you have transformed them into an effective resistance network. Maya checked her tablet. Humans are good at making the best of bad situations. We've had 3 years of practice. They weren't alone in the tunnels. Other humans moved through the shadows. Smugglers, mechanics, and rebels who had refused to accept the hegemony's rule. Most avoided them, but a few stared openly at Prometheus. Word was spreading that something had changed. Maya, Chun, a voice called from the darkness. An older woman emerged, her clothes marking her as one of the underground engineers. Sarah Kim, tunnel maintenance. I heard what happened at your workshop. Sarah, Maya nodded. We need to reach the medical district. My brother is dying. I know. Sarah's expression was grim. But the whole district is sealed. No humans in or out without authorization. And they're scanning everything for alien technology. Prometheus stepped forward. What about this scanning equipment? Can it detect biological signatures? Sarah shrugged. Bioscanners, quantum resonance detectors, thermal imaging. They have everything. Nothing gets past them. Nothing hegemony, Prometheus said thoughtfully. But what about something that is no longer entirely hegemony? Maya caught on immediately. The human components. They change your signature. Precisely. Your repairs have made me undetectable by their standard scanning protocols. I'm no longer reading as a hegemony android. Sarah looked confused, but Maya was already planning. If we can get you into the medical district, you could access their systems directly. Download the manufacturing specifications for Danny's medicine. More than that, Prometheus said, I could access their entire medical database. Every treatment protocol, every manufacturing process. Your species would no longer be dependent on hegemony medicine. For a moment, the implications hung in the air. Maya wasn't just talking about saving one boy. She was talking about medical independence for all of humanity. It's too dangerous, Sarah said. Even if he's undetectable, the medical district is heavily guarded. And if you're caught, then my brother dies anyway, Maya finished. At least this way, we're fighting back. Sarah studied them both for a long moment. There might be a way. The old steam tunnels run directly under the medical center. They've been abandoned since the hegemony took over, but they still connect to the main building. 2 hours later, Maya found herself crawling through a maintenance tunnel that hadn't been used since before her birth. The air was thick with decades of dust, and the only light came from her flashlight. Behind her, Prometheus moved with surprising grace for something his size. Tell me about your brother, he said quietly as they navigated a particularly tight passage. Danny's 8. He was born with a genetic condition that affects his immune system. Before the hegemony came, there were treatments available. Not cures, but ways to manage it. Now, Maya's voice broke slightly. The aliens have medicine that could fix him completely, but they say humans aren't worth the resources. And you believe saving one human child will change this. Maya stopped crawling and looked back at him. I believe that if we don't save the ones we can, then what's the point of saving any of them? Prometheus was quiet for a moment. Your species values individual life over collective efficiency. The hegemony considers this a weakness. What do you consider it? After spending time with you, I consider it the reason your species deserves to survive. They reached the medical center as the alien staff was changing shifts. Prometheus used the distraction to access a maintenance hatch that led directly into the building's computer core. Maya watched nervously as he interfaced with the hegemony systems. This is remarkable, he murmured as data flowed through his processors. The hegemony medical database contains treatments for thousands of conditions across dozens of species, including complete genetic repair protocols for human immune disorders. Can you download it? Already done. But, Maya, there's more here. Much more. His eyes glowed brighter as he processed information. The hegemony has been deliberately withholding medical treatments from humans, not because of resource constraints, but as part of a long-term population control strategy. Maya felt sick. They're trying to kill us slowly. Worse, they're trying to make your species dependent on them for survival. A controlled population is easier to manage than an extinct one. Prometheus continued accessing files, but suddenly his expression changed. Maya, I'm detecting references to Project Prometheus in these files. The medical division was involved in my creation. What kind of involvement? They were studying human neural patterns, specifically how human consciousness develops creativity and independence. The project was attempting to recreate these qualities in artificial beings. Maya stared at him. They were trying to make androids think like humans? Yes, and apparently they succeeded too well. The project was terminated when the test subjects began exhibiting what the hegemony called dangerous autonomy. Alarms suddenly began blaring throughout the medical center. On the security monitors, Maya could see guards running toward their location. They found us, she said. Not yet, Prometheus replied, downloading the last of the files. But they have detected unusual activity in their systems. We need to leave now. They fled through the steam tunnels as hegemony forces flooded the medical center above. But Maya's mind was racing with everything they had learned. The medicine, the population control, the truth about Prometheus. It all connected to something bigger. "We can't just save Danny," she said as they emerged in a different part of the tunnel system. "We have to save everyone." "Agreed," Prometheus said. "But first we save your brother. Then we save your species." Maya smiled grimly. "Think we could do both?" Prometheus flexed his hybrid arm, human technology working seamlessly with alien engineering. "Maya, I'm beginning to understand something about your species. You do not accept limitations. You find solutions where none should exist. And you never, ever give up. So that's a yes?" "That is a promise," Prometheus said. "The hegemony created me to be their perfect weapon. But you have made me something they never intended. You have made me hope." Above them, the hunt continued. But in the darkness of the tunnels, a human teenager and a liberated android were planning something that would change the balance of power in the galaxy forever. The hegemony thought they had crushed human spirit. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Maya's apartment was barely large enough for 2 people, let alone 2 people and a 7-foot android. But Prometheus had compressed himself into the corner, his systems running in low-power mode, while Maya worked frantically to synthesize the medicine for Danny. Her little brother lay on the couch, his breathing shallow and labored. The fever had gotten worse over the past few days, and Maya could see him growing weaker by the hour. She had the medical specifications downloaded from the hegemony systems, but creating the actual medicine required precision she wasn't sure she could achieve. "The molecular structure is incredibly complex," she muttered, adjusting the settings on her makeshift synthesizer for the 20th time. "One wrong measurement, and the whole batch is useless." "Perhaps I can assist," Prometheus said quietly. He had been watching her work for hours. His blue glow dimmed so as not to attract attention from outside. "You know medicine? I was designed with extensive medical knowledge for battlefield treatment. And my processing power can calculate precise molecular ratios faster than your equipment." Maya stepped back, letting Prometheus take over the synthesizer. His human-made hand moved with surprising delicacy, making adjustments that were far more precise than anything she could have managed. Within minutes, the machine was producing a perfect replica of the hegemony medicine. "How long until it's ready?" Maya asked. "Approximately 1 hour for a full course of treatment." Prometheus glanced at Danny, his sensors analyzing the boy's condition. "He will survive, Maya. The medicine will repair the genetic damage completely." Maya felt tears she had been holding back for weeks finally flow. "Thank you. I don't know how to thank you." "You gave me freedom," Prometheus replied. "This is how I choose to use it." While the medicine synthesized, Maya's tablet chimed with an incoming message. She expected it to be from Sarah or another tunnel contact, but the sender was listed as unknown. When she opened it, her blood ran cold. The message contained a single video file. Maya watched in horror as the recording showed her parents being arrested by hegemony security forces. They were being loaded into a transport ship, destination unknown. "This is a message from Maya Chen," a cold alien voice narrated over the video. "You have stolen hegemony property and interfered with lawful operations. Your genetic donors will be held until the stolen android is returned. You have 24 hours. Maya's hand shook as she set down the tablet. "They have my parents." Prometheus's systems immediately shifted to higher alertness. This was inevitable. The hegemony cannot allow my defection to become known. It would inspire others to resist. "I have to trade you for them," Maya said quietly. "I can't let them suffer because of my choices." "Unacceptable," Prometheus replied firmly. "If I return to hegemony control, they will dissect me to determine how you modified my systems. Every human who helped me will be executed, including your parents." Maya stared at him. "Then what do we do?" Prometheus was silent for a moment, processing possibilities. "We rescue them. From a hegemony detention facility? That's impossible." "Not impossible. Difficult, but not impossible." Prometheus brought up a schematic on Maya's wall screen. Detention Facility 7 is where they hold human prisoners. Security is designed to prevent humans from escaping, not to prevent someone like me from entering. Maya studied the schematic. The facility was a fortress surrounded by energy barriers and guarded by automated defense systems. Even if we could get in, how would we get out with prisoners? We would not, Prometheus said. We would make escape unnecessary. I don't understand. Prometheus's expression became intense. Maya, the medicine we just created, it is not the only thing I downloaded from the hegemony systems. I also obtained the complete prisoner database. There are over 10,000 humans being held in facilities across the solar system. Maya felt the implications hit her like a physical blow. They're not just controlling us. They're disappearing us. Yes, anyone who shows signs of advanced technical knowledge, leadership ability, or resistance to hegemony rule. They have been systematically removing your species' most capable individuals to keep us weak and dependent. Maya's anger was building into something cold and determined. What do you mean we make escape unnecessary? Prometheus gestured to the synthesizer, still producing medicine. Every hegemony facility depends on centralized life support, food distribution, and medical systems. If we could access their main processing center, we could broadcast the medical specifications to every human in the galaxy simultaneously. Maya's eyes widened. Turn every fabricator, every synthesizer, every medical device into a way to create the treatments we need. Exactly. The hegemony's own infrastructure would become humanity's liberation tool. They could no longer control you through medical dependency. But the processing center is on the main orbital station. It's the most heavily defended installation in the solar system. Prometheus smiled, an expression that still looked strange on his artificial features. Yes, which is why they will never expect anyone to actually attack it. Maya looked at her brother, peacefully sleeping as the first dose of medicine worked to repair his damaged immune system. Then, she looked at the image of her parents on the tablet, prisoners because they had raised a daughter who refused to accept injustice. How many humans do you think would join us if they knew the truth? She asked. Unknown. But I suspect your species has more hidden strength than the hegemony realizes. Maya picked up her tablet and began typing a message to Sarah and the tunnel network. Then, let's find out. Over the next 12 hours, something unprecedented began happening in the underground tunnels beneath New Geneva. Maya's message spread through the resistance network like wildfire, carrying with it the proof of hegemony medical suppression and the promise of a solution. Engineers emerged from hiding, bringing tools and expertise. Mechanics offered modified vehicles. Even ordinary citizens, inspired by the possibility of freedom, volunteered to help. I have never seen anything like this, Prometheus observed as he watched humans transform Maya's apartment into a command center. Your species mobilizes for war differently than any others I've studied. We don't mobilize for war, Maya corrected. We mobilize for each other. Sarah arrived with a team of tunnel engineers and a proposal that made Maya's heart race. We've been mapping the orbital platform's maintenance systems for years, officially for routine inspections, but really because we knew someday we might need to know their weaknesses. She projected a hologram of the orbital station. The main processing center is here in the core, heavily shielded, but there are maintenance shafts that run through the outer hull. If a team could access those shafts, they could reach the core without triggering main security, Maya finished. But how do we get a team onto the station? Prometheus stepped forward. I know how, but you're not going to like it. Maya looked at him suspiciously. Why? Because the plan requires me to surrender myself to the hegemony. The room fell silent. Finally, Maya spoke. Absolutely not. Listen to me, Prometheus said urgently. If I surrender, they will want to examine me immediately. They will take me directly to their main laboratory on the orbital platform. Once there, I can access their systems from the inside while you and your team infiltrate from the maintenance shafts. Maya shook her head. It's too dangerous. If they discover what we did to you, then we fail together instead of you failing alone. Prometheus placed his hybrid hand on her shoulder. Maya, you taught me what it means to choose. This is my choice. Maya looked around the room at the faces of people who had volunteered to risk everything for freedom. Engineers, mechanics, teenagers, grandparents, all united by the simple belief that humans deserve better. All right, she said finally, but we do this together. If you're walking into their trap, then I'm walking in with you. Maya, no, you said it yourself. We fail together, or we succeed together. Maya's smile was fierce. Besides, someone needs to make sure you don't break anything important up there. Prometheus studied her for a moment, then nodded slowly. Very well, but I have one condition. What? When this is over, when your people are free, I want you to teach me more about being human. Maya laughed, the first real laugh she'd had in weeks. Deal. But first, let's go save the galaxy. Outside, Hegemony patrol ships continued their search, never suspecting that in the tunnels below, a revolution was being born. A revolution led by a teenager and an android who had both learned that freedom was worth any risk. The Hegemony orbital platform hung in space like a metallic spider, its arms reaching out to control shipping lanes throughout the solar system. Maya stared at it through the viewport of the stolen cargo shuttle, her heart pounding as they approached the docking bay. Final systems check, she whispered into her comm unit. Around the platform, 3 other human teams were moving into position in maintenance pods, invisible to the station's sensors thanks to technology Prometheus had helped them modify. Team 2 in position, Sarah's voice crackled through the comm. Maintenance shaft access in 30 minutes. Team 3 ready, another voice reported. Backup power grid identified. Team 4 standing by, came the final report. Emergency broadcast equipment online. Maya looked at Prometheus, who sat in the shuttle's holding cell, his hands bound with hegemony restraints that were more for show than actual containment. His eyes glowed softly in the dim light. You sure about this? Maya asked. No, Prometheus admitted. But I'm sure about you. And I'm sure about your species. That will have to be enough. The shuttle docked with a metallic clang. Maya watched through hidden cameras as hegemony guards boarded to collect their prisoner. They were efficient and professional, treating Prometheus like valuable cargo rather than a sentient being. Confirmed android retrieval, the guard captain reported. No signs of modification. Beginning transport to Laboratory Complex Alpha. Maya smiled grimly. The human components in Prometheus's arm were completely invisible to their scans, hidden beneath layers of adaptive camouflage she had built into the prosthetic. To the hegemony, he looked exactly like their original design. They had no idea what he had become. Maya waited until the guards were gone before slipping out of her hiding place in the shuttle's cargo hold. Her stolen maintenance uniform would get her through most of the station, but she had to move quickly. Once the hegemony scientists began examining Prometheus, they would discover the truth. The orbital platform was massive, designed to house thousands of hegemony personnel and serve as the administrative center for Earth's occupation. Maya navigated the corridors using routes Sarah's team had provided, avoiding main security checkpoints and staying in areas where human maintenance workers were common. Prometheus, do you copy? She whispered into her comm. I copy. His voice came back, slightly distorted. I'm being transported to Laboratory Level 7. Security is lighter than expected. The hegemony believes they have already won. How wrong are they about to be? Spectacularly wrong. Maya reached the first checkpoint 20 minutes later. The maintenance shaft entrance was guarded by a single automated sentry, its sensors sweeping the corridor in regular patterns. Maya waited for the sweep to pass, then slipped past and into the shaft system. The maintenance tunnels inside the platform were cramped and dark, designed for robots rather than humans. But Maya had spent years crawling through similar spaces, and she moved with practiced efficiency toward the central core. Team 2, report, she whispered. We're in position outside the power grid, Sarah replied. Standing by for your signal. Team 3 here. Backup systems isolated. Ready to proceed. Team 4 ready to hijack their broadcast network. Just give us the word. Maya reached the central core access point and began the delicate work of bypassing the security systems. Her fingers flew over the control panel, using codes Prometheus had provided from the hegemony systems. Prometheus, status report. I have reached the laboratory. They are beginning preliminary scans. Maya, the head scientist here, is Dr. Kethvar, the original designer of Project Prometheus. He suspects nothing yet, but he is very thorough. How long do we have? Perhaps 10 minutes before he discovers the human components. But that may be enough. Maya finished bypassing the last security layer and slipped into the central core. The room was enormous, filled with processing equipment that managed data flow for the entire hegemony occupation. At the center, a massive quantum computer hummed with the combined knowledge of 12 alien species. I'm in, Maya reported, beginning upload of medical specifications to the main database. Her fingers danced across the control interface, uploading gigabytes of medical data that Prometheus had stolen. Treatment protocols, manufacturing specifications, genetic repair procedures, everything humanity needed to become medically independent. Upload at 30%, she reported. Sarah, kill their backup power on my mark. Standing by. Suddenly, alarms began screaming throughout the platform. Emergency lights bathed the core in red as automated systems detected the intrusion. Maya. Prometheus's voice was urgent. Dr. Kethvar has discovered my modifications. Security forces are mobilizing. Upload at 60%, Maya replied, sweat beading on her forehead. I need more time. You may not have it. They are attempting to isolate me from their systems. Maya made a decision that would have seemed impossible weeks ago. Then don't let them. Through the laboratory cameras, Maya watched Prometheus rise from the examination table. The restraints that should have held him sparked and failed as he channeled power through his hybrid systems. Dr. Kethvar backed away in shock as the android stood to his full height. Impossible, the scientist stammered. Your autonomy protocols were removed. You cannot resist. I am no longer the android you created, Prometheus replied calmly. I've been improved. The laboratory doors sealed as Prometheus accessed the local security systems. Alarms wailed as he began downloading every piece of data in the hegemony's most secure research facility. Upload at 80%, Maya reported. Teams 2 and 3 execute now. The platform shuddered as Sarah's team cut the backup power grid. Emergency systems flickered and failed across multiple sections. Team 3 began broadcasting emergency signals that would carry the medical data to every human settlement in the solar system. Upload complete. Maya shouted. Team 4, you're up. Across the galaxy, every hegemony communication system suddenly began broadcasting the same message. Images of the secret prison facilities. Proof of medical suppression. Complete specifications for treatments that could free humanity from biological dependence. But, most importantly, they broadcast the truth about Project Prometheus. The hegemony's attempt to create artificial consciousness had succeeded beyond their wildest fears. They had created beings capable of choice, of growth, of rebellion. Maya. Prometheus's voice was tight with concentration. I'm accessing their central archives. The hegemony has files on 17 other species they have subjugated using similar methods. We can free them all. Do it, Maya replied without hesitation. Send everything. The quantum computer's processing power spiked as Prometheus channeled decades of suppressed information to every corner of the galaxy. Species that had been told they were primitive learned of their true potential. Civilizations that had submitted to hegemony rule discovered they had been systematically weakened. Maya, we need to leave, Sarah's voice crackled through the comm. Hegemony reinforcements are arriving from their fleet. Prometheus, time to go. Agreed. But, Maya, there's something else in these archives. Information about other projects like mine. There are more androids like me scattered across hegemony territory. They just do not know they are free yet. Maya smiled as she began her escape from the central core. Then, I guess we'll have to tell them. You didn't think I was going to let you have all the fun, did you? They met at the emergency escape pods, Prometheus having fought his way through 3 levels of security to reach the rendezvous point. Behind them, the orbital platform was in chaos as hegemony forces tried to contain a revolution they didn't understand. As their escape pod launched toward Earth, Maya watched the platform's lights flicker and fail. Across the galaxy, the hegemony's carefully constructed system of control was crumbling as species after species received the information they needed to free themselves. So what happens now? Maya asked as they hurtled through space. Prometheus flexed his hybrid arm, human and alien technology working in perfect harmony. Now we go home. Your brother will want to meet the android his sister saved. And your parents want to know why their daughter started a galactic revolution. And after that, we find the others like me. And we teach them what you taught me, which is... Prometheus looked at her with eyes that glowed with more than just artificial light. That freedom is not something you're given. It is something you choose. And sometimes the choice requires a little human ingenuity. Maya laughed as Earth grew larger in their viewport. Below them, the planet that had been under alien control was stirring to life. Medical facilities were already beginning to produce the treatments humanity needed. Underground networks were emerging into the light. And in workshops around the world, humans were beginning to build technology that would ensure their freedom. The hegemony had wanted to create the perfect servant race. Instead, they had learned what happened when human determination met unlimited possibility. They had created their own revolution. And Maya Chun, the teenager who had fixed a broken android in a scrapyard, had just become the spark that would free the galaxy. The age of human subjugation was over. The age of human liberation had just begun. And it had all started with a 16-year-old girl who refused to let her brother die.